got better places to be, probably having a beer or whatever. So thanks for giving us the opportunity to sort of come and share with you guys about our recent survey, and also just talk to you a little bit about how you can sort of present yourself going forward, in terms of your market intelligence and how you can maybe make that impact, and get those higher salaries. So what I'm going to cover today is just as soon as this works. Any IT professionals in the house?
That would be me. I think it's okay to actually see it here. Something is wrong with the projector.
Okay, that's fine. It's been a while since I've been in an interview in a lecture room like this. It's about 12 years ago now. So, what sort of courses are you guys taking? Can you sort of, are you holding the same course, the one that you are at SMU? What are you studying at the moment?
So we have two branches in MITB, the Masters of IT Business, which is Financial Services and Analytics. So yeah, we have two different cohorts, and I think it's a mixture of Financial Services and Analytics.
So who's in Financial Services? And who's in the Analytics piece?
No,
Right. So just to give you a bit of background about myself, so I started off with Robert Half back in New Zealand, where I started off the technology brand for them. I then moved to Singapore 4 years ago to do the same thing in Singapore. My experience in Singapore primarily is with financial services, but I also run a team that do non-financial services, so that's anything, the pharmaceutical companies, telco companies, oil and gas companies. So I've got a good sort of mix. But in terms of my current experience and my personal experience, it's mainly sort of financial services. So if you've got any questions at the end regarding financial services, I'll be happy to sort of help you. So we're going to talk about, just quite quickly run through, hiring trends, what the market's sort of projecting this year, and sort of maybe what happened last year, sort of what hot jobs are out there, building your brand. I think that's important for those of you who are finishing your studies and going for interviews and trying to get jobs. LinkedIn and why that's important today, and then a little bit of career advice in terms of how you can sort of best sort of present yourself and and build that career. Just a quick question: how many of you have finished your degree, or you're going to find a job, or you're finding jobs at the moment? Well done. And the rest of you? So maybe we can have a chat on Monday then. Yeah. Right, so just a little bit about Robert Half. We've been around for a long time. We've been around for nearly 64 years, or 66 years. We're on the New York Stock Exchange with $4 billion company. We're on the, we're Fortune magazine's world's most admired companies we work for. In terms of our presence in APAC, as you can see, these are our offices. We have, we sort of cover the major cities in Asia Pacific. Cal, I don't know why we don't have Auckland, New Zealand on there. It's clearly a big city. And in Singapore, these are our divisions that we cover. So as I mentioned, Robert Half Financial Services, and that's purely within banking, insurance, hedge funds, brokerage firms. There's Robert Half Finance and Accounting that does purely sort of finance and technology. So that's my division, and I do both financial services and, as I mentioned, non-financial services. And management resources, which is high-end contracting. So so the contracting market's getting bigger in Singapore, where people are consulting for a period of time. It's people are getting short-term assignments for more specialized kind of roles. So what I'm going to talk a little bit here is just what sort of roles my team covers. So as you can see, we cover a fairly broad depth. Can you guys see? Am I in your way? Sorry, I can sit down. So application managers, which are like heads of development or dev managers. We've got IT architects, which is quite hot at the moment, the whole cloud thing, big data, IT directors, of course you'll sort of CIO, IT director level, help desk more on the support side, network, once again, network system engineers, whether it be Microsoft or Linux or Cisco, Program managers, that's a big one in my team. We do a lot of project work, so I cover the business transformation team. And we do a lot of projects across banking and non-banking, whether it be an ERP, SAP, Oracle, or whether it be just pure sort of system implementations. And then security analysts, which is a very hot topic at the moment. So anything to do with security, risk, anything to do with technology risk, market risk, credit risk. I don't know if you guys have done that part of your FS degree. So we do a lot of work in that area. At the moment, we've got things like AML, KYC, NORCOM, Dedica, all these things are really hot at the moment. So most banks are beefing up their security risk because of regulation, whether it be MAS or HKMA or whoever. So that's a really hot topic. So and it's hard to find people in Singapore with those skills. So hopefully some of you are future security risk guys and ladies. So architecture, that's obviously down the track. I think risk and security, I think from your perspective, I think you can get into it quite quickly. Whereas architecture, you kind of need to sort of be in the workforce for a few years before you can call yourself an architect. So I'll kick on to hiring trends and projection in 2014 and just give you a little bit of a survey. So Robert Half, we do a lot of work with media, we do a lot of work with the likes of SITF, Singapore Computer Society, and we had a third-party survey done with 150 CIOs based in Singapore. And this sort of covers, Calvin, is this banking only or is it both?
Three different sectors.
So we cover banking and financial services, commerce and industry, which is non-banking, and then IT, which is purely technology companies, right? And you can kind of see across the board, we've sort of got a pretty, standard response, and pretty much everyone is confident about the company's growth in the areas in terms of hiring technology professionals and just the general Singapore economy, which is good for us. And this sort of talks to you a little bit about what employers feel. So from your perspective, it's probably a good thing. And in the sense that it's kind of coming back full swing. I think after the GFC, it was sort of more of an employer market, and it's sort of swinging the other way now, where you've got a lot more employees sort of demanding, whether it be salary or positions, depending on in terms of what you're actually doing. But you can see that employers still find it very hard to find sort of specialized staff, and that's a big thing for us and Robert Half, and in the industry we keep trying to find the staff, whether that be working with the IDA, for example, or working with SITF, or working with as I said, Computer Society, just to try and build an awareness of what's needed in the industry, because people tend to move in Singapore a lot. People tend to jump jobs a lot. That tends to be quite a fact. As soon as and at the moment that's the way it is. I think with the way the economy is going, people are there are more jobs now, and good employees tend to move quickly because they get pushed. So they tend to jump. So employees want to keep their top talent, and that's kind of where we try and help them keep good people.
Just ask you a quick question.
Sure.
So there's people who jump around, but in terms of the people doing the hiring, there's I need to fill a slot, and it's good somebody just left their old job, and maybe I can hire them. But to what extent do the people on the hiring side say, I'm not hiring this person, I'm not interested, they jump around too much, or I want somebody who's got a few years of more stable experience?
Yeah.
There's got to be two sides to this equation.
There unfortunately, especially in the financial services area, where there are quite a lot of jobs needed, and there aren't as many people with those skills, hiring managers don't tend to be as choosy, because firstly they can't, because they need something done now. For example, if you I'm currently working with a number of banks on their sort of compliance, regulatory, tech risk platforms, right? And MAS unfortunately don't wait for you. You've got to get it. And if you don't have the manpower to get it, then it's your problem, and then there are consequences. So you basically got to make a decision, and you got to hire people. So it's not ideal. And I think if you look at the Western economy, like Australia, New Zealand, or maybe the US or Canada, people tend to stay with their jobs a lot more, and that's kind of the norm. Over here, it's not as much, and I think it's more fluent. And I think that's also got to do with the transience of people who live in Singapore. You've got that move. So that's something that I think we'll see for a little while. I don't know if that answers your question or not, but I think hiring managers tend to just do what they have to make the hire. It's not ideal, but it is what it is. So this is where we see a strong demand for IT people, and in terms of industry. So financial services, hiring a lot of people, not in every area, mainly in risk, security, risk. That's the big one for us. Pharmaceuticals, that's more research, development, oil and gas, more around, it could be technology, sales or platforms, big ERP. Commodities, it's more applications. And then we see a lot of sort of more sales and IT services companies, solution providers like whether it be your HPs, your IBMs, your SunGuards. So with the survey that we did, the good news is that half the CIOs that we did the survey with want to increase salaries for their teams, and 32% plan to increase bonuses, which is good, which sort of means that their capex is increasing from when it was. If we did the survey last year, I think it was the other way around. It was just building back up, and now I think that the market's buoyant again. The US economy is picking up, and that sort of drives a lot of what we do here in terms of just the Asian markets. And down there, just in terms of something for you to just put away, candidates, communication skills, and regional project exposure. The reason I say regional project exposure is because I don't think enough of Singaporean candidates travel in terms of work. I think there's a lack of good Singaporean candidates. So I know a lot of good Singaporean candidates, but they don't tend to travel. Like you tend to travel a lot for holidays, right? Like everyone's on holiday. But in terms of work, you don't want to. There's a lack of people who want to go in and travel in Hong Kong and work in Hong Kong. I'll work in China for 6 months, and I think that is important for you to get to the next level, because that is seen now. I mean, Singapore is very rarely a solo hub. You pretty much work for MNCs and global institutions. So if you guys can get experience in that area and working with regional or traveling or going overseas, I would encourage you to sort of take that. This is just a little bit of a glimpse. I don't want to blow your top off anything, but it just gives you an idea of something you could. It's not really necessarily an aspiration, but it is what CIOs tend to get paid across the region. That's an average salary. Is that right, Cal? Yeah. So 320,000 Sing plus bonus, and it tends to be. We've seen inflation go up about 5%, but then they tend to get a 10% sort of increase. That's still sort of happening, and as you can see. We've got a lot of, there's a mandate by the business to continue to uplift IT systems, security systems, and Calvin and I were having a discussion about this for another survey that we're doing, is what's the need for all the security, and a lot of it has got to do with regulation. So most banks have good systems, they have good security networks, it's all about regulation. So it's the way for regulators to,
So when you say top salaries, that's an average of the top salary?
Correct.
So
Correct.
There are top salaries.
That would be higher than that.
Much bigger, some lower, but it's
Yeah.
an average.
An average of CIOs, yeah. So
I got it.
you've got the anomaly with a CIO is earning 700,000.
Right.
Then you've got a CIO, a smaller company earning that's pretty good, isn't it? Yeah, but then you've got a CIO who's earning 150,000. So I think as an average of somebody who's running a pretty big regional team, 320,000 as a basic fixed salary is kind of what we look at. And then you've got IT architects, which is another hot topic. We work a lot with cloud computing and big data at the moment. This is definitely a place where I think Singapore can add value in the sense of its work, of its upcoming students. We do not have people. I was working with a very large firm, and the only place I could find this person was in the US, just because there just wasn't anyone in Singapore with that skill set. So I think that as companies tend to move here and Singapore tries to become a more services economy, a more sort of technology-driven economy, I think that would be something we'd see a change in, where more young people, graduates like yourself, would sort of do a bit more work in the cloud computing, big data kind of environment. If you want to, how many of you actually work? Like, sorry, don't work, but how many of you have jobs? Oh wow! All right, that's good. So for you, and for those of you who are graduates and want to find out a little bit more about salary, or if you want to ask any questions, please feel free to give me a call or just go to our website. We've got very good information. And this is once again a third-party, company that sort of goes through a lot of our clients in terms of salary across Asia Pacific. So and as you can see, we've got a pretty good breakdown in terms of where the location: Singapore, Hong Kong, Tokyo, whatever, which category you work in, what your title is, the size of the company you're looking or you work for, how many years of experience, and it'll give you a range of what that salary tends to pay. But if you want a more specific answer, then please give me a call. I'll be able to give you some more insight into sort of what companies really pay. Yeah. Okay, so that's kind of covers it for giving you a bit of data and giving you a bit of specifics. I just want to talk a little bit about something that I think we've worked a little bit on, and that might help you in terms of your personal brand and how do you present yourself in the marketplace. For those of you who have jobs and looking at progressing, and for those of you who are still finishing up and ready to go into the workforce. So just a quick one. When do you guys finish? When does your year end in terms of like graduation? When do you actually graduate?
August, early August.
Okay, so it's coming. So a lot of you graduating this year?
We have an intake in August and an intake in January, so we sort of have people finishing up at multiple times. And then we have sometimes people finish courses, but they're working on projects, so there's a stream of people finishing all the time.
Right. And how many of you would say that you actually were working and studying?
Some, and then how many are working full-time student, full-time MITB? Some.
So everyone else is working, part-time or whatever. Is that accurate? Yeah. No? Okay. So most of you are full-time students, the ones who are studying. Okay. Well, the ones who work, I think that's really good. I think that helps you. Was it an internship?
No, I'm a part-time student.
Right, so but you're working as well, right?
Yeah.
That's what I mean. So are you working as an intern?
No, the intern.
Oh, so you're working full time?
Yeah.
Oh wow, okay. Well, that definitely helps, right? I mean, I can't. Nothing wrong with full-time study, but I think if you've got the addition of having work experience in the same amount of time, then you're kind of ahead of your competitor because you both got the same degree, but you've got 3 years of work experience. So that's good.
And then the students who go full-time, a lot of them do major attachments, 6-8 month attachments during the day,
Right.
and then school at night, on the weekends.
Yeah, I thought part of your program in Singapore was that you would go on an internship. Like I know people who go to Korea for internship or China, so that happens as well. Right? So you get with Google or something. All right, so just let me talk to you a little bit about what I'm going to discuss here and why I think this is important, right? So when we say increase your visibility, I don't mean you're dressed in pink shirts and trying to wear a yellow tie. I'm talking more about your brand, right? So your name recognition in terms of if you're working at a company and going out and meeting people within your firm, making a statement, introducing yourself, whether it be at a company event or networking. I think a lot of people stay back. They're not the first ones to go and shake someone's hand or try and be a bit more confident. I think if you can do that, we asked a number of our senior managers about what was the one thing that you thought your good candidates had and why were they different to other candidates. And they all said the same thing. They said they just have initiative. They take initiative. They do something. You know, I don't have to go and ask them to do something. They come and ask me like, hey, I've got this. Can I do that? Can I do this? So initiative is a big one. Speak up. That's more about, you know. I'm sure a lot of you have been in meetings, or you know, you sit around a boardroom or whatever. You know, you can, you know, and you've got one guy who says, you know, who talks. You know, you've got the loud guy in the class. You know, situation. You know, where there's one guy who's loud and everyone listens to him. But he's the guy who's probably going to get ahead because he's, you know, he's the one making himself known. So your boss is going to remember that guy because he talks, you know. So you want to speak up, air your thoughts, you know. Go beyond the job description. I think that just talks more about thinking outside the box, you know, being able to sort of stand out from what you might know in terms of, you know, I mean, everyone has a job description. You know, when I signed up for Robert Half, I did not have in my job description that I would be speaking at SMU, but you know, it's something I like to do. It's you know, it's good for me, and I you know, and it's good to sort of come into the community. Document your work effectively. I think that's more about, you know, conveying to your superiors what you've actually done. A lot of people just do something and they kind of don't document it effectively or communicate that back effectively to their superiors. Getting all that sort of work, I think that's sort of, you know, up to you really. But I think it's more about, do you know, social events, you know, and trying to be that person, you know, who goes outside of work and mingles with his, you know, colleagues and things like that. You know, the amount of in financial services, to give you, because I work a lot in financial services, so I work with, I mean, traders, I mean, brokers, I mean, compliance people. In financial services, there is a big thing about doing work outside work, right? They like to go out, they like to have a beer, they like to drink, you know, it's a social kind of, you know, lifestyle. And a lot of decisions that are made outside of work. I do a lot of business with my clients outside of the office. You know, I meet someone at Standard Chartered, for example. He doesn't want me to come and have a coffee with him. He wants to go out at 6, 7 o'clock.